going off of what Nick said, I mean, obviously, I think Spindler has a pretty good chance to start as a freshman. He's pretty mature as a recruit as it is, and obviously one of the top offensive linemen in the country. My vote would probably go to a couple guys. Lorenzo Styles Jr. Specifically, I think has a really good chance to start at punt return, kick return for Notre Dame. During his first season, and then he brings a different element to the offense that they haven't really had over the last couple of years. And that's a guy that is not only fast to where he can break the defense, but he also does a lot of the other things pretty well. And one thing Notre Dame has struggled with some of their guys that can run deep is that they can't do a lot of other things on top of that.
I'm trying to think who else on this class that I know Nathan and I spoke a little bit about recently. Just kind of Prince Colley, underrated recruit in terms of.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because for the longest time a 3-star guy on most outlets, and he goes out, he wins the Butkus Award, and you just kind of look where linebackers who have won that award, high school level, have been over the years, and you're talking. Forget like 5-star. You're talking like top 5, top 10 guys in the country in terms of overall recruiting rankings. So that one was kind of surprising to see me just where he kind of ranks in for that. I don't know about instant contributor, at least instant like playmaker and game breaker in his case, but I do think that that's one of like that the overall ranking or the player ranking doesn't match the ability and
Sorry, I don't know.
Better than ever.
My Wi-Fi has been pretty spotty recently, but yeah, just kind of continue on that point a little bit. I mean, I know Nick kind of mentioned some guys that, or some positions specifically that, just have some needs, and the defensive backfield is certainly one of them. So guys like, and I mentioned Philip Riley, I think that's when you guys started losing me. He's one of my favorite kids in this class, can probably play safety or corner at a pretty high level at the college level. And then a guy like Kari G is another one of my favorites in this class. Stole him from LSU pretty late in the process. I think with the senior season, or at least more eyes on a lot of these guys, I think Kari G actually did play a senior season. He might have been a top 150-ish, top 100 guy. I mean, his offer list speaks for himself. So those are a couple guys. And then even some of their lower rated corners like Ryan Barnes and Chance Tucker, I think are guys that are pretty polished players and guys that will, produce at high levels in college as well. So wouldn't be surprising if any of those guys, find a niche role, as true freshmen.
We've got a question coming in from D-Rock Irish Revelis. How huge was it to get Houston Griffith back out of the transfer portal?
I think it's huge for 2021, obviously. Just you take a secondary last year, even that I know Nick McLeod played well at times. I think second team or third team ACC. He was ended up being a selection of. Had a nice Hula Bowl, a couple interceptions on Sunday night. But outside of Kyle Hamilton, it felt like there were a lot of liabilities out there often. And that's not to say that Griffith solves all the problems there, but it helps at least kind of put a Band-Aid on that part of it. That it's not just Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton I know he only had the one interception in the ACC title game for the year, but my God, you could argue that as great as Owusu Koromoa was last year, that Hamilton, because of what he had to be asked to do, how much ground he had to be asked to cover, how much he had to step up and play in the run game to fill other parts, that you weren't getting at times from linebacking positions, that you could argue he was their defensive MVP, even though you had the Butkus Award winner there last year. And I think that Griffith, if he performs up to what the thought is that his capabilities are, that doesn't solve the problem entirely, but it answers a lot of questions and makes life at least a little easier in that regard.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I think he's just great for depth and everything, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that hasn't necessarily lived up to his recruiting ranking coming out of high school. I think in that 2017 class, I think it was, he was the number 1 ranked player. It might have been the 2018 class, now that I'm mentioning it. But I think he was their number 1 recruit in that class. And, a guy that they kind of stole again late in the process from Florida State. And, I think Notre Dame fans figured he'd be him and Kyle Hamilton were going to be a really dynamic duo over the last couple of years, and that unfortunately wasn't the case. But yeah, no, just based on what James or Nick are saying, I really agree on. on those aspects. I mean, he provides quality depth. Now he's going to have a new defensive coordinator and a new safeties coach. You never know how that works out. Are they going to like him more than maybe Clark Lee and Terry Joseph did? Is he going to get some more playing time? Is he going to maybe just mesh with those guys a little bit more and become that player that we all know he can be?